All right, welcome back to Alejandro's Engineered Lifestyle. My name is Alejandro Mendoza, and I'm a mechanical engineer working in the aerospace industry. Today, we're actually going to be hitting on the resurrection of the KTM 790 Duke. First off, I'd like to say thank you very much for subscribing to the channel if you've done so lately. I have past 200, I think even 210 subscribers at this point. You're subscribing so fast that I don't even have the opportunity to make videos to thank you. But that is coming, and especially thank you to those using my affiliate links. That is awesome, guys. You're supporting the channel, you're supporting me, and I really appreciate that. So look out for the upcoming videos, and let's hop back into this one. So as far as the news here, if for those watching in the future, it is March 2022. And KTM has just resurrected the 790 Duke. And this is interesting on many fronts in that the 790 Duke was killed a couple of years ago for a number of reasons. One of them being it no longer met emission standards in European or Indian markets. And this obviously made it so that KTM couldn't legally sell this bike. It was also killed in the US market. However, this was for the reason of it being too close in proximity to the 890. Once KTM announced the 890 Duke R and subsequently the KTM 890, the capability differences between the two models was minimal, as was the price. The price only being $1,000 in difference. And that was obviously not enough to entice people to go for the cheaper 790. So getting back to our original reason for the 790 exiting the European and Indian markets, that being emissions regulations. Well, now the 2022 790 is back with Euro 5 compliance, as well as potentially, with the similarities between the two specs, that is BS6 compliance. And what this would mean is that not only is the bike coming back to European markets, but also to India. And this is huge because both offer massive markets and a built-in enthusiast base. So apart from emissions regulations, the 790 in the 2022 model year will actually have one more major change, specifically in the European market, in that it will actually have less horsepower than, quote, the rest of the world, per KTM's initial press release. And that is because the 790 will actually now be available to A2 license holders. And this is great news because it gives the A2 license holders who are limited in power the new ability to really embrace the KTM middleweight lifestyle, in that the bikes are beautifully balanced and just so much fun. And that is something that previously they've been unable to experience. So good on you, KTM. But overall, when we look at the 2022 790, we do see less options than we did previously in the 2019 model year. That is, the motor slip regulation, the quick shift, the track mode. These things are not standard as they were previously. And really, they were one of the only things making the 790 look like a budget option over the 890. And to bring the 2022 790 in line with the rest of the lineup, these options will now be add-ons. When we look elsewhere on the bike, the configuration is largely the same, actually exactly the same, in that we still see the front fork WP Apex 43. And that should ring a bell because us 890 Duke R owners have a very similar front fork, although our spring is linear versus the 790's non-linear spring. As well as if we look to the rear, the 790's rear suspension is unchanged in that it is just preload adjustable with a variable spring rate. Apart from that, we have the same brakes as well as the same frame, subframe, all of that. However, we do get a drastically lower price, and this is what makes KTM's strategic move here so interesting, in that we have reduced from a 10,350 euro price to just 8,999 euros. Again, we don't have the electronics that were previously included. However, KTM is very obviously aligning this bike in its 2022 model year form with a budget middleweight offering, in that we're opening up the width of the segment. And that is why, unfortunately, I do not think this bodes well for us 890 owners, in that the 890 Duke will likely meet its end in the 2023 model year when the KTM 990 Duke is unveiled. This is for a couple reasons. One, the 790 was previously axed in the US for its proximity and capability to the 890. Well, the same is going to be said for the 890 and the 990, in that the horsepower will only differ by about, my guess is 9 to maybe 15 horsepower. And this is not a whole lot when considering the displacement will be 100 cc's greater. So to add breadth to the lineup, KTM will likely axe the 890 Duke and leave a budget option in the middleweight segment, as well as a premium option in the middleweight segment with the 990. And with that premium positioning of the 990 will likely come those changes that us 890 owners really wanted to see come with the 2022 Duke R, in that we will likely see a fully adjustable suspension, specifically an upgraded front fork. We do, in fact, have the Stylema system as well as the MCS master cylinder from Brembo in terms of braking, but there are several small things about the 890 that are flawed, and the 990 Duke in the 2023 model year will give KTM the opportunity to perhaps charge a little more, but also take its offering more upmarket in terms of its components. So if this is exciting news to you because you've been holding out for the 990, that's awesome. Good for you. Please let me ride it when you get it. But if you have a 790, this is also good for you in that you did pay a little extra, but fear not, the low price of the 2022 model year doesn't include a lot of the goodies that you have on your bike. And if you're like me and you have an 890, well, stick around because I'm doing DIYs. I'm doing modifications to address all of the 890 shortcomings, in that we will likely get to a similar horsepower as well as perhaps even a similar suspension scheme to the 990 with the 890 Duke R. So getting back to my foreshadowing here, I do believe that the 890 will in fact end in the 2023 model year. However, it will not be completely killed off, in that one very specific aspect of the 890 will live on. And I'll talk about that in this next video here. So let me know what you think of the video and my predictions in the comments below. And look out for the next video as how I think the 890 will live on, even when the 890 Duke is axed. Have a good one, guys.